G'day YouTube, Jeff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. What if I told you a lot of lawn care businesses fail within the first couple of years? They fail because they didn't learn from their mistakes. Over the last 40 years, I've noticed a lot of businesses go out because they failed to recognise those rookie mistakes when they first start out, put their head in the stand, wouldn't listen to anybody, thought that they were invincible. Well, a lot crashed. After a couple of years, they were gone. Today's video, I want to talk about 5 most critical mistakes people have made. And I've made some of them too, and I'm sure there's a lot out there that have made it also. Plenty of people come across these mistakes when they're starting out, and the best way to go about it, of course, is to learn from them. I've learnt from mine, I've learnt from others, and I'm sure other people have done the same. If you fail to do that, you're certainly going to be struggling to continue your business. Many businesses in the lawn care industry have really survived well, and they've done well because they've treated themselves and they've operated as a business. Many years ago, it was the lawnmower man, it was the gardener. The big man who employed cheap labour, and the cheap labour was the gardeners, and that philosophy carried on over the years. When I first started, we was always regarded as the mower man, the bottom of the barrel. Over the years, I've seen the growth of the industry of people treating it as a business, and as such have done very well. No longer are we going to be called the lawnmower person. No longer are we going to be, the gardener, he's just the gardener. No, we are the business. And I'm going to talk about 5 critical mistakes that if you identify early, you're going to go a long way. You might even go 40 years and maybe more than what I've done. Let's do it. The first rookie mistake that's made by many people, including myself, and I guess probably the majority watching this channel today, is underpricing. Our first thought when we were so excited about starting our business, and our first priority is to get a lot of customers. And how do most do that? They drop their prices, they undercut everybody, so their books are full. And they look at the end of the year and say, oh, look how successful they are. Until they realise what their numbers are. Their numbers are telling them you're really not making much money. You're barely making a wage. You've got all this stress, all these customers. You've got cheap customers because you produce cheap prices. Remember, cheap prices get you cheap customers. Another mistake in underpricing is that you rock up to a job for the first time and it needs a major clean-up. So you say to yourself, I'm going to do this really cheap because I will get them as a permanent customer after that. And away you go, you slug your guts out and you had the place looking magnificent, and you rock up to the client and you'll say, well, when do you want me back again? We'll call you. That's a common answer. And you'll soon learn after the first couple of times, charge what you're worth. Charge what the job is really worth. We all get caught up on that one. The old story is, why did they let their garden go to rack and ruin? There's a reason. They just want to do it now and again. They ain't going to be a regular customer unless it's someone that's bought a new house or bought the house and want to get the garden and want a regular service. Still charge what it's worth for that initial cleanup. Don't go in cheap. As is the old story. If you do my place cheap, I've got all these aunts and uncles and cousins that will take your services on. Or, I remember very early in my day, this bloke rocks up, he said, I've got 8 houses and give me a cheap price and you can have the lot of them. And of course, sucked in Jeff was, when he first started out, realised that Blake was just an absolute con artist. You'll soon learn. So value your worth, value your prices. Don't go cheap. But don't go overboard either. I know a lot of people, they watch all these YouTube videos, and experienced guys are saying you've got to be charged in this particular hourly rate. If you're not up to that quality, providing that quality of service, well, you can't charge a huge price either. Or you can't charge a big price in a poor area or in an area where it's not as affluent as maybe, some others are, or in the country areas, for example. So it's a bit of a balancing act between, underpricing and overpricing. It's like the 3 B's, you just got to get it right. You just got to get it right. The next one is getting the wrong equipment. Now, when we're starting out, a lot of people start out, and I know you're going to be screaming at me in a minute. A lot of people buy a bench shaft whippersnipper and not get their old mower or their dad's old mower and start mowing lawns and getting a lot of customers. And a lot of people say, oh, that's how I started out and I did really well. And congratulations, you probably did. And the thing is, what you don't realise, and what the big mistake the rookie doesn't realise, is what you're missing out on. If you don't start professional, if you don't start as a business, you're going to miss out on those golden clients at the start. They're the ones that are going to carry you through to make sure you last more than a couple of years. A lot of the people that started off, look, there's been a few odd successful ones. The majority fail because they think they're getting all this work. Again, cheap prices, cheap customers. I only started with a $100 mower and stuff like that. It might appear to work, but it doesn't. Look, so many times when I had all my professional gear, the client would come to me first. The good client would come to me first. You would see the guy in his bench shaft with the snipper and pulling out the back of the van. They wouldn't go and ask him. The cheap clients would, because they're thinking we're going to get a cheap price there. So just be careful. The other thing is with equipment, the wrong equipment, is overspending. How many people I see, they'll go out and they'll buy the biggest and the best, the shiniest, the biggest ride-on mowers. Instead of a 42-inch, they'll buy a 72-inch and they'll buy the biggest and best mowers, to the extent where they don't utilise them to their full ability. Research your equipment, research for what you're doing when you're starting out, and buy the appropriate commercial equipment that suits the job. That's how I found it. I see a lot of people that do it and they really succeed. The ones that fail to do that do struggle. Trust me, they do. Overextending your services, that's another rookie mistake. When you're starting out, you're trying to build up the business as quick as you can. And what happens, you start taking on jobs that maybe you're not really that experienced with. You might take on a retaining wall, or you might take on a big job that perhaps you're not quite up to it. The fix is start what you know, mow and edge lawns and do them well, learn it well. Go on to gardening, start building up, but don't take on everything that everyone throws at you. You can't be everywhere at every time, because what'll happen, you'll start that little job where you might be doing a little retaining wall and the customers want a little bit more work and you're struggling with it because you're new. It's the first or second time you've ever done it. So you're taking longer than what you should be doing the job. And because what's happening to the customers, those bread and butter customers, the mowing of the lawns, you're starting to, I can't get there. I've got to finish this job, this big job. Otherwise the customer's not going to be happy. In the meantime, you're probably going to lose your bread and butter customers. In business, in the lawn care business, bread and butter customers are the people that you've got to service first. They're the people that you've got to maintain because they get you through the hard times. I've seen it so many times. Yes, slowly build up. Perfect your skills as you go along. But don't do everything for everybody straight away, or ever in fact, because you'll spread yourself thin. Unless you've got the resources behind you and other people helping out, you're going to fall flat on your face. And that's a big mistake that I've seen a lot of people get caught up with. And of course, the fifth one is understand that you're running a business. And when you run a business, there's certain things you've got to do. You've got to plan, you've got to budget, you've got to continually track all your expenses. You've got to be vigilant on your running costs, because you've got to know those to be able to charge a price that's going to make you a profit. You're running a business. We run a business because we have to run as a profit if we want to succeed, if we want to go the long journey. Too many people treat it as a lifestyle, and that is fine. If you've got other income and you're well off and you don't really have to worry about earning money, that's fine. But if you're starting this as a venture to support your lifestyle, to support your family, you have to treat it as a business. I can't emphasize that enough. And make sure that you plan for the future. The old story is, if we don't plan, we're going to plan to fail. We've got to make sure that we look into the future, marketing, all the aspects of running it. Learn from other people in business. Network, it's so important. So all I'm trying to emphasize is it's a business. So there you go. That's the 5 little tips that I've seen people struggle with over the years. I've seen a lot of people that do those aspects of making mistakes, but they learn from them. Learn from your mistakes, and it's surprising how far you'll go. If you're prepared to listen, if you're prepared to put your pride aside and just, look around and see what other people are doing and how they're handling their mistakes, you're going to find yourself so much better off. Don't put your head in the sand. We all got different opinions on how to run business, and there's all different ways to run them. That's the way I run mine. It mightn't suit you, but that's how I got by with my learning from my mistakes. Treat it as a business, please. I think that's so important. We're no different to the electrician, the plumber, to the shop, to the hardware store. We're all the same. We all pay our taxes. We're all providing goods and services tax and VAT taxes and all those things, insurances, employing staff. We're not just the servant to the customer that's got the big mansion or on cheap wages. We are not that people anymore. Those days are gone. If you want to go those days, well, you might as well just go and work at McDonald's flipping burgers, because you're going to earn more money. Viewers, thanks for watching. Love to hear your opinion on it, whether you agree. Look, I'm sure there's probably another 50 mistakes that people make. Those are the 5 ones that I've seen over the years that really hurt people. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and share, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.